Welcome to the Zen Mind Show with Michelle and Dr. Pat. Rapid Zen transformation. Are you looking for healing processes that require no financial investment? Then this show is your beacon of hope. Hi, I'm Michelle Carboni, a rapid transformational therapist with over 700 hours of training in hypnotherapy, coaching, trauma, and intuition. Together with Dr. Pat, we will be providing the resources and guidance you need to take meaningful steps towards your personal healing and growth. From mindfulness techniques to actionable wisdom, each episode will offer invaluable insights. Join us today as we explore the tools and practices that anyone can do and have access to. Join the Zen revolution. Transform your life today. We are a community dedicated to supporting each other as we strive for a balanced and Zen-filled life. Stay tuned with me and Dr. Pat. The Zen Mind Show starts now.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Pat and we are fired up for today. I cannot tell you how important this is. Thought power. Pivoting, I've got to say this, pivoting, don't you love that? Pivoting your life using your thoughts. Now, for those of you out there, you're probably thinking, what are they going to talk about today? Are they going to talk about stuff we read? No, we're not going to talk about those things. Here's what we're going to really talk about today, so everybody gets it. All of us in life, we have things happen to us. You guys, you've heard me talk about my life. I am not doing that today. I'm not going to go back in my past because Michelle and I have already done that. But you know, when Michelle Carboni works with somebody, it's not about that surface layer. You know what? You ever have like a float, like a root beer float? Is that like old school, Michelle? You ever have like an old school thing where you put the ice cream in the soda?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what happens with that deal is the foam comes to the top. And that foam is in life. That right there is what shows up in our life. But it's when you get rid of that foam, do you see that underneath that, you got some ice cream in there?
Right.
Right? And you don't know whether you're going to like that ice cream or not. But today we're talking about thought power and what it means to pivot your life. How significant is this lesson? And what I mean by that is I have so many thoughts up here.
Yeah.
But people don't know that we can take a thought, pivot a thought, pivot our lives. Go through that and explain what your experience is with that.
Yeah. I mean, our thoughts are creating everything, right? Like, I love the Rumi quote, and I might get it a little bit off, but what you seek is seeking you.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to, what we look for, we're going to find. And what does our mind knows what we're looking for by what? Our thoughts. So when we have these thoughts of, like we talked about, I think in our last episode, like 24-hour news and stuff, like, we're inundated with negativity. We're looking for negativity. We're looking for things to have a problem about, and we have those thoughts around that. So if we can take the time to even know what we're thinking, what are the thoughts that are coming across, and know that we are not our thoughts. We have control over our thoughts, and our thoughts are actually the only thing we have control over. We don't have control over what other people do. We don't have control over the physical environment we're in, really. Things can happen that we have no control over, but we can control what we think. So, if we want to have a happier life, like one of my practices is, I shifted saying the word hard, even in my mind. Instead of saying hard, I say challenging or difficult, because even changing one word in my thoughts changes how I see an issue. And instead of calling it a problem, I'll even say an issue, right? Like using our words and our thoughts around those shifts everything, so that I go, oh, well, this is challenging, but what is a challenge? We can meet and beat a challenge. It's just, it's something that's going to help us grow. Where hard is, what do you do with hard? Hard's just hard.
Yeah. The things are going to happen in life. And, I had a conversation, Michelle, I want your take on this, because you're working with people 24/7. I work with people too, but not at the level that you do, right? I help people take their shows on air and, do great things in life. But I rarely have to go underneath it. But I want to tell you this situation, which is fascinating to me. I had to face myself on a particular issue. And this is where thoughts can make you a little sideways. And I want to bring this to the forefront. If we have a challenge in life, and I love the word challenge, I don't like the word problem. I love challenges, right? If you think you got problems and you don't know how to overcome them, I want you to be inspired and encouraged. Watch the Paralympics and watch those athletes. Watch what they are doing. You
Yeah,
think for
right.
1 minute their thought about I can't? Do you think that? You
No,
know,
they're
the,
thinking I can,
they're
right?
thinking I can. And it doesn't matter that they don't have limbs on their body. It's just incredible. But what I want to say to everybody, every day in our lives, there are things that will get underneath us. I used to horseback ride, and the worst thing you could do is get something under that horse's saddle that that horse doesn't like. See, this is what we're talking about. You get a nudge from the universe, and you're being challenged to really, do I go forward on that or not? Michelle, how many people do you work with? I have to ask you this question because it fits right in here. There are people, and I don't like labels, but there are people that will not take action on their own behalf because they're afraid of offending somebody or not having them be a friend. And I'm talking seriously,
Yeah.
like taking action to protect their homes because there's something going on in their mind that says, if I act courageously here, blah, 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 blah. That's a thought that stops you.
Yeah.
What is our experience of these thoughts? And now calling in a stop pivot to create a reality of stop.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, it's like one of my teachers, she's like, we all have the saboteur, right? We have
Yes,
this
we
part
do.
of us, and it's part of the ego, and so it's like some of those thoughts are coming from that part. They're coming from the saboteur. They're coming from this part of us that maybe is afraid of success or it's afraid of failure, so I better not try. A lot of my anxiety clients are in that situation where it's really a fear of what if I fail? So I'm going to have this anxiety hold me back, right? And the thoughts that feed that anxiety, right? Like going through all these different things, like different scenarios. And we have that saboteur just talking to us and telling us BS, and getting to a place where you understand like where those thoughts are coming from is a good first step, or even noticing what your thoughts are. I mean, that's where, I always say mindfulness is this like foundational practice of any healing work you want to do, because you need to be able to notice, what am I feeling? What are my thoughts? I mean, I had to learn how to feel. And you know what? It's not always fun, but it's needed, because if we don't feel our feelings, we're just suppressing them, and they end up in pains in our body or in emotional issues or
Mhm.
whatever. So, it's not a way to live. We need to be in touch with our feelings and know what our thoughts are, because our thoughts are creating our feelings. So we can like backtrack. Okay, I'm feeling like this. What's the thought behind that? And then where's that thought coming from? Is that coming from my ego? Is that coming from spirit? Where is it coming from? Because if I'm feeling love, then I guarantee you that thought's coming from spirit. But if I'm feeling hateful or super down, like that's coming from the ego, right? So we can like trace that back and go, okay, where are these thoughts coming from,
Yeah.
and where can I pivot that thought? What can I do to change that thought? And noticing it is the first thing to do, right? Like if you don't know what you're thinking, you can't change it.
Well, and that's really what I want to talk about today too with you, is really to have folks understand that thoughts do create our reality. And it's so strong in that we get confused between something happening in life and having an emotional reaction to it. And, let's just be really clear. My mom used to say, honey, I don't know why bad things happen to good people. And, as kids would say, we don't know why that either. But when we think about things, things are going to happen to us. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be small, it could be large, but whatever it is, it's what we make that in our mind, in our consciousness, that will make the difference between how we can move successfully forward in our life. Isn't that correct?
Oh yeah, I love to give this example to my clients. Like, when you're 2 years old, your experience of having a butterfly land on you could be this huge trauma. because you have thoughts about what this butterfly is and what it's doing on you and it scared you or whatever. And or you could be like me and be like, oh my God, a butterfly, right? And so, sometimes when we go back in my clients to scenes, we're like, now we're looking at that through an adult's eyes. And we're like, well, wait a minute. Didn't this happen? Didn't you actually do this? Like you thought it was this. Like I had a client who thought she was rejected when really she rejected him. And having that change like gave her power back. It empowered
Mhm.
her to shift how she saw it, and part of that was shifting the thoughts around what happened. So our perspective and our thoughts are what are causing things to
Yeah.
be a trauma, right? Like in a way, I mean, yes, there are things that happen to us that are traumatic, but we can change how we see them, and or just and let them go and decide, okay, well, that's who I was 20 years ago, but I'm not that person anymore, and I'm going to move forward. And that's where like the power of now is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's get fired up on this a little bit. I love that you brought the butterfly up. I love it. So, what is one of the most misunderstood kind of flying things? The dragonfly, which happens to be my spirit guide, one of my spirit guides.
I love that.
And I was telling Linda, every time we go to someplace, I get a dragonfly. But we were out in the yard and we were cleaning up the blackberries, delicious blackberries. And we have it. And this is the first time she's ever had this experience because dragonflies, don't they look like they could hurt you, right?
Sure.
They land on my hand. So we're out there. And I guess what I've said to her about it caused this not to be a thing. Beautiful, gigantic blue dragonfly
Okay.
flies by right by her hand as she's holding the rake and lands right above, right on the rake. Now, what does a change in perspective do? Well, she sees it differently. So rather than see it like something to be afraid of, she's got it right there and she's saying, "Oh my God, look at these beautiful iridescent blue wings."
Yeah.
See, that's a shift in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen whether it's a dragonfly or whether you wake up today and you have a negative $2,000 in your bank account. So let's get real with this, right?
Yeah.
If if that is you or some other thing happens, how will you get, and I love how
Yeah.
will you get the what? And the what is, what do I do? How can I be guided? What is my next step? Isn't that the idea of this and keeping this up here free from the story that you will get from that negative bank account? I'm a
Yes.
loser.
Right.
Right. I'm never going to make money. Oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah,
How do
exactly.
we stop that spiral?
Yeah, so that's
Like,
like that momentum thing, right? So we need
oh
to we need
boy.
to change our momentum of like this swirl of thoughts, because we'll keep going down, right? Like once that starts, it feeds itself. And then the ego is like, "Yes, let's have a pity party, let's have a self-hate party. I'm gonna just swirl down." So, changing momentum, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, one of my clients, we were talking about this, and I was like, choose some thoughts in advance that you are going to choose to mindfully think, or like some mantras that that are resonate with you. And like I'm like, keep that if you need to, keep a list in your pocket. Like do something, keep it around, put it on your mirror, whatever. I mean, you should see my mirror; it's covered in stuff.
Yeah.
And get those thoughts in your mind. I mean, like aside from doing hypnosis recordings and stuff, like this is stuff you can do yourself. Write it around, have sticky notes around your house, whatever you need, right? That's one way to sort of shift that and go, and know that, okay, notice what you're thinking first, and then go, no, okay, this is just my ego. Cool, it's trying to make me feel down, but you know what? I'm doing my best, and I'm look for things that to be grateful for. Gratitude can really shift our momentum too. Like look around. maybe you can be grateful for even the clouds in the sky or seeing a butterfly or dragonfly. I love seeing dragonflies, by the way. My mom's house has tons of them. Or oh, look, there's roses that are pretty, or I have a home, or I woke up today, and I can be grateful for just that I woke up today. Maybe I have negative 2,000 in my account, but I have food in my fridge. So I have a meal or
Yeah,
whatever it is, right?
yeah,
And I have friends. And so
yeah.
like the gratitude list helps a lot and shift that momentum.
Yeah.
And
And you,
honestly,
okay, I love this because
yeah,
let's get right to it. Okay. What's the response? Let's do it right now, everybody. I
yeah,
open up my bank account. It doesn't even have to be that. I got rejected from 35 schools right before I got
right.
into Claremont. And then Claremont put me on a waiting list. Thank God for Linda, who got that piece of email. But when you have been rejected by them, and I use the word reject because I don't believe that, but I don't know how to explain it so the average person gets what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Basically, I applied to schools, they said no.
right.
Um, but how do you respond to that? Did I stop my life? No, I packed
No,
up, I moved to Seattle. Was I heartbroken in some ways? Yes. Did I create a silly error by sending Columbia the application? I was already accepted, but I sent it to the wrong department because I was never meant to go there. But here's what I love about you're saying we can pivot the mind faster. We can
yes,
pivot on our thoughts faster than you could pretty much pivot on anything else,
yeah,
even a table tennis ball or a badminton
right.
thingy.
Yeah.
They're the
And
two
there,
fastest sports in the world, by the way.
yeah. And one of the techniques I teach my clients is called the looping thoughts ladder.
Oh,
So, if you think
please.
of a ladder, you like just a, four rung thing, you've got three sections. You've got, so the top one is your thoughts, and then you've got your feelings in the middle, and then you have like your actions or inactions at the bottom. So you can take that thought and let's say the thought is, I suck. How does thinking I suck make you feel? Well, it probably makes you feel bad. It makes you feel like a loser or whatever, right? And then because you feel bad and you feel like you're a loser, what action or inaction are you doing? Well, maybe you're not doing anything. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm just a loser. I'm just going to sit on the couch and I'm not going to do anything. So, you can change I suck to even just I'm doing my best. Because in all honesty, we are all doing our best. I
That's
actually
right.
argued with the client about this the other day because he was like, "No, I wasn't doing my best." And I'm like, "Yeah, you were, but I need a lot. I need you to get on my level to understand this." So, but you were doing your best, I promise. But, it's like, okay, if I change it to I'm doing my best, well, how does that feel? Well, it's like, okay, maybe I feel content with that, or maybe I feel hopeful, or, maybe I just feel a little bit better. We may not be able to change our momentum from 0 to 100, but we can, edge our way up by keep changing those thoughts. And then because maybe we feel neutral, maybe we feel sort of good, like, yeah, I am doing my best, I'm feeling content, then maybe we are taking some action. Maybe we're signing up for a class that we want to take, or calling a friend or whatever. We're not just going, oh, I'm a loser, I suck, I'm sitting on the couch. So it's just that simple, like, how can I change this thought that's making me feel like this, and looking at what is this thought doing for me?
Yeah.
Is it doing something beneficial, or is it just making me feel like poo?
Yeah. Look, there are going to be things that happen. And I've talked about this openly on air because I am an advocate. Michelle, you know this about me. Anybody that comes on the show, I tell them this is a new show name. Nobody's doing it. Put a trademark on the end of it, whether you actually file or not. And this is what I've been telling people for 20 years. Because I lost a trademark that I went out, I said something, and I lost the domain and therefore the trademark, but I've gotten it back. But this is one of these items that sometimes in the world you're going to be faced with strange people. Right now, I had to go through the process you're describing because, believe it or not, there is a word I made up called unstuckable. I
Mm,
bought the domain in 2001, and I cannot believe that people have published books with that and also are trying to use the trademark. And part of this is how am I going to hold my thought? And my thoughts are, look, I've got a great team of people to look at this. I'm not going to tell a story about why people did that. I'm not going
yeah,
to really do that. I'm
yeah,
not going to I'm not going to tell a story about what could or couldn't happen. I'm going to go to my yes and I'm going to call my trademark attorney and say, please stop this, whatever that means. We're making t-shirts. Stop it. And in the process, you still have to show up and present things for your case in order to pivot. It's the same thing in life. Maybe that's not happening to you, but maybe there's something going on in your relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe you're starting to think they're not coming home for dinner. Where do you think they are? You see, this is how quickly it goes, right?
Oh,
So
right.
how do you help people move beyond all that to really stick to the thoughts, the beliefs, the ideas that are going to get them to where they really want to go?
Yeah,
That's really the key, isn't it?
it is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it's about, programming our minds, right? And since that's what I do in hypnosis, so, our mind learns by repetition. So, that's where the writing things on your mirror, having sticky notes around, like it's repeating, right? So
Hmm.
it becomes, and I've even, obviously I do what I preach, right? So we all struggle. Like I'm not perfect. And, so I've literally been in these spirals and gone, okay, I'm going to let myself sit in this for a while, feel the feelings that I need to feel. And then, when that's over and I'm done crying or whatever, I'm going to go, okay, you know what? That was just my ego, doing what it does. And now I'm going to choose to think this. I'm going to, and noticing, and I've noticed, as I've done this work over the years, like it gets easier and easier. So it's just, you have to have some patience with yourself and grace and compassion because
You do.
it's, it's not an overnight thing for everybody. Now, a lot of my clients, it is kind of seems overnight. They're like, what did you do? It's magic. But, it's because they were just very suggestible and they took all the suggestions that are beautiful that I gave them, which, always include like, I am enough, I am worthy, blah, 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 right? And I've even started doing some cell command healing on like the neural pathways and commanding the mind to weaken the neural pathways of doubt and insecurity and whatever, and strengthen the ones of I am
Yeah.
worthy, I am enough, right? Because if we can get those neural pathways on board
Yeah.
with what we want, those highways of thoughts are going to just jump in and do what we want them to do. So it's pretty awesome to watch
It's
that.
crazy awesome. I was watching something on television, a couple of experiences where people have had severe brain trauma. One woman was shot right in the head.
Wow.
And believe it or not, she was the one doing the interview today, show talking. And so what they were talking about is how smart the brain is and how the brain started to rewire itself. Now, we all know we are not using the full capacity of what's up here.
No,
We know
not
we're
even
not.
close. Yeah, we do.
But
we're
if we don't learn a tool like what you and I are talking about today, we're not going to create the opening. Because, see, what you're talking about is stepping into the world of what if. What if I were to think about this? And then what does the brain do? It says, delete all your past negativity and let's go to what if. Let's play that out.
yeah.
Let's like, it's so seriously important what you're talking about today. But I also want to mention something else before we run out of time. There's a body of work you do that without experiencing that body of work, you're just going to hit the foam. You're not going to get the ice cream. And what
Yeah.
I mean by that is sometimes we have to go deeper and it's not in the conscious everyday. Like I could sit here and tell you thought, 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 but what's really going on? Can you
Yeah.
tell people how you work with people in that way and how they can work with you directly?
Yeah, so I'll just give my website real quick. So
Please.
ZenMindMichelle.com. Super easy, Michelle's with two L's. So yeah, what we do is we're just like we go into the mind like my most recent client the other day was insecure. So we're like, okay, why are you insecure? And then we get these scenes from her past and they come up and we look at them and we go, well, what did you believe about yourself? So she's the one that I was like, she had this scene where she thought she had been rejected. Like she saw that as a rejection, but really she had rejected him. And, switching that perspective and going, well, no, this is what happened. I mean, looks to me like you were the one who rejected him. and how does that feel? And like, well, yeah, I did reject him, and that gave her power back, you know? So it's like looking at where these things came from, but also talking to the parts and saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you making me insecure? What is the secondary gain here? You know, and is it a protection because, oh, you know, if I am insecure, then someone's going to come save me or whatever it is. You know, there's these layers of beliefs that we can get into, and we don't have time for that. But you know, it's pretty beautiful to watch. You know, people's see their past and then shift how they saw it, and that's part of what creates the change.
Mm. You know, I can't thank you enough. And I can't thank you enough for bringing a topic that's so seriously important right now. You know, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of thinking that we're doing, but our ability to understand and realize that we have control of that, that's the game changer for me. You
Yep.
see, even in the world where you may feel like everything but the kitchen sink has been thrown at you in your life, you could say, thank goodness for the kitchen sink and the water it provides, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. Please, what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with?
You know, our thoughts can, you know, we can be friends with our thoughts and decide that they're going to be a tool for us, and they can, you know, we can choose our reality and influence how our life wants to be by choosing these thoughts. So, you know, starting with mindfulness practice, notice your thoughts. Don't be afraid of your thoughts. Know that you're not your thoughts, and then start making some different choices and pivot those thoughts to making you feel happy.
Mm, I love it. It's the new PT,
Right?
pivoting thoughts. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. One more time, website for everybody.
Yeah, so it's a Zen, Zen, mind, Mind, Michelle, Michelle.com.
I love it, everybody. And remember, you do have a choice. This is it. See, if we don't think we have anything else, we have the ability to choose. We can choose whether we're going to go down a rabbit hole we don't know how to get out of, or that we're going to create our own new rabbit hole that takes us exactly where we want to go.
Yep, exactly. I love it. Beautiful.
Blue pill, red pill. Thank you for tuning us in, turning us on. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Mind Show with Michelle and Dr. Pat. Tune in the first Tuesday of each month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more free resources that anyone can do and have access to for your personal healing and growth journey. Imagine a space where you can not only listen, but actively participate. Soon we'll open our phone lines for call-ins, offering direct coaching to help you navigate challenges and accelerate your transformation. For more information, visit www.ZenMindMichelle.com.